Hi, welcome to this month's edition of the Hello Woodlands Nonprofit of the Month Highlight. Good morning. I'm your host, Randy Lovelace, with Paragon Independent Insurance. And you are really going to want to pay attention and listen to this today. This subject matter, while it's important, but it's unbelievable, but it's real. And I'm here with Cary, with Hands of Justice. And gosh, Becca, tell me what is, well, first off, thank you for doing this and for what you're going to tell us. And what is Hands of Justice, and how did it get started?
Well, Hands of Justice, we are an anti-trafficking nonprofit organization here in Montgomery County. We are survivor-led, and our organization is really based on economic empowerment for survivors of human trafficking. So we do a lot of different things. First and foremost, education on two aspects. We love educating the community on what human trafficking is, like how it happens, who it happens to, the signs to look for, and what to do if you do suspect the money's being trafficked. But on the other side of the spectrum, we love helping survivors by giving them scholarships to go back to school, like through GED, or to get a certification program, or to go to college. So we're doing education on two sides of the spectrum, one for the community and one for survivors. We also do outreach every month. So we hand out 85 freedom bags to survivors and victims that are still out there. We actually partner with about 6 other organizations so that these bags can get to the right individuals. They anywhere from the strip clubs down in Houston to brothels to homeless individuals on the street. We try to get those out every month. And then we also do freedom bag.
Oh, freedom bag.
I'm sorry. Yeah, a freedom. Yeah, it's a bag full of like essential items that they need per month. Kind of makes their life a little bit less heavy. Helps them out. So it's going to be the stuff like deodorant and soap and things like that. And then we also put in encouraging cards, greeting cards for the women and the men. And then we give them a couple of fun things just to make their life a little bit easier during that time. So that's what our freedom bags are. And we do them again once a month. We have a list on Amazon, and people donate, and we put them together and we get them out there. So that's what those are.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, many would probably say that there's not a human trafficking problem in Montgomery County because it is a very nice area. Your response to that?
My response to that would be that human trafficking is everywhere, including the United States and including the nice suburbs of Houston. It is not just down in the inner city areas. It's not just in other countries. It is very much prevalent here in your communities. And it's all around you. It's normally considered a crime that is hidden in plain sight. So we always say that you probably know of somebody who has been trafficked or is currently being trafficked. You just do not know it. Yeah.
You mentioned survivor-led for the organization.
Yeah.
Could you touch on that?
Yeah, so I am a survivor of domestic sex trafficking. I was trafficked when I was 21 years old for 2.5 years. And that actually, after I was trafficked, it took me about 14 years to self-identify. And I think a lot of people don't understand that it normally takes years after the trauma and the abuse for those that are in it to really understand that that's what happened to them. And so for me, it took a long time. And I had a hard time dealing with it. Obviously, I think most people do. The trauma of human trafficking is a trauma that is very hard to explain to people, and how long lasting it can be. It is probably going to be a lifelong journey for those that have gone through something like that to heal and to get back to a way of life that's considered normal to other people. So for me, it took me 14 years, and then I went to Thailand. I was accepted to a school over in Thailand, specifically working in human trafficking. So I went there for 5 weeks and dealt with children as young as 7 years old that were being trafficked, women in bars. We did a lot of different things over there. And then I came back to Texas with the knowledge that I had learned over there and opened Hands of Justice.
quite a bit of, and not just the experience in Thailand and education, but a lot of other education designations or things that you've accomplished to help out in all this.
Yeah, yeah. So I work. I don't. We kind of partner. So the governor's office has an initiative program right now, and right now I'm in charge of their economic empowerment group, and they touch on different areas that in trafficking that need to be filled or touched on, or so there's different groups within the governor's office. So I am on their economic empowerment. Again, that's an area that is not really defined yet and not really being filled. So we're trying to get a lot more resources in that area for survivors. I am on the board with the Montgomery County Coalition as well here in, and again, we were just talking about how Montgomery County is so great at what they're doing and cracking down on the cases here, and the task force here is amazing. The people that work in human trafficking or anti-trafficking here in Montgomery County are really, really great, as you saw at the event on Saturday, last Saturday.
Your recommendation or your suggestion for individuals that may have an inkling or they're not quite sure that maybe a family member or someone they know may be groomed or being groomed. Do they wait till they know for sure? Do they just say something anyway? And then who do they say it to and who they ask?
I would say if you even suspect that somebody is being trafficked, call the hotline number immediately. There is a nationwide hotline number. If you call that, they get the information and they tend to bring it back to the task force in the area that the call's being made, and then hopefully an investigation gets started. I always say it is better to call and be wrong than not to call and to find out later that you were right. So yeah, definitely call.
Okay. Is there an age range of individuals that tend to be trafficked or groomed or, pulled into
more
that?
Than others? Yeah, I think that the consensus is that it is more young teenagers. Like I think the average age for a male is 11 years old, and the average age for a female is anywhere between 14 and 15 years old. But it's actually rising a little bit. That average age. I was trafficked at 21, and the majority of the girls that I work with have been trafficked later. But I do know quite a few people that were trafficked as children, and the majority of the children, I think they say like 70% of children that are being trafficked are actually being trafficked by somebody they know or a family member. So it's not just the misconception of being abducted off the streets and locked in the basements and sold is really not what's happening here in trafficking in the United States.
Yeah. And you mentioned males, so it's not just females that are trafficked or going after males as well.
Yeah, the males, I think, is up to about 35% of trafficking cases involve males. And people don't even think that. That's like mind-blowing to them, but it is very prevalent for a male to be trafficked. I mean, you have to think about labor trafficking as well as sex trafficking as well. And a lot of those that have been labor trafficking tend to be trafficked in sex as well. So there's a lot of overlapping, but it is very prevalent with men. And people need to know that it's not just women.
Yeah. Wow. So you obviously, you're speaking with us today. You will speak to organizations and groups anywhere, and we're gonna hopefully be seeing a lot of you in the coming days, months, weeks, years of getting that word out and doing the work that you do. I mean, it's amazing. I know it takes a special person to be dealing with all of those things, those issues, and to be able to work with the individuals, because I've got to think that it's not like talking to your average person.
No. I mean, in some aspects we're normal people, but yeah, it's a normal person that's dealing with a lot of trauma. And
Yeah,
so
because of the trauma.
they take a lot of extra time and care. And I think the misconception is that people can just go down in like the brothels in Houston and take a girl right out and rescue them. And it does not happen that way. You have to build a trust with these women and men. And that takes a long time. So if you're wanting to get into anti-trafficking at all, you need to understand that it's a commitment of your time and consistency of showing up over and over again.
Yeah.
And building relationships.
Yeah. Well, and when did you start your organization? You're relatively new.
Yeah, we're 3.5 years old. So we opened in 2017. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we obviously can see what you're doing for the community. What, other than word of mouth and exposure of your organization and what you're doing, is there something that the community can do for you?
We are always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for donations, especially for like our freedom bags. Again, our list is on our it's on Amazon. Yeah, and there's a list there of our needs, but also our biggest need, because we focus mostly on scholarships for men and women, is we need sponsors, people to come on and say, hey, I want to sponsor one of these men and individuals to go back to college. So right now we have, I believe, 9 scholarships waiting for the spring for us to fill. COVID, I think, as we all know, for any nonprofit is really just it's put a big hindrance on funding and finding those funds in any aspect. So, I mean, anytime that somebody wants to come on and help, 100% of the proceeds that we receive go out to the community. I don't get paid. My volunteers are 100% volunteer based. So it's every dollar goes out to help somebody else.
Does someone qualify for the scholarships?
Well, they can go onto our website, handsofjustice.org. And they can fill out our application, and then I contact them after they have applied, and then there's a couple of documents that they have to get to us, but then we sit down with our board, and my board goes over it and decides who's going to be. Okay. So far we haven't turned anybody down, but we're afraid, and because of COVID we're getting to that point unless others can step up and help us.
Right. Well, that's amazing. I know that if someone's in that position, they probably are just feel like there's no place else to go. But obviously, you're giving them places to go and resources, and so that's awesome.
I know for me, education was such a big deal when I got my degree, because I got my degree in 2018, but it took me a really long time. And so looking back, I always was like, I really wish there had been a program that helped the transition between trauma and going in and doing something better with my life. It would have been easier. But we also do support groups for individuals, and having that support as well within the community is a good.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what you're doing is amazing. Kudos to you for pulling yourself out of it and getting your education and really bringing this organization to light and what you're doing for the people that are still in that situation. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
So thanks so much. Well, I think that wraps it up for this month. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned to next month for another highlight. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day. I'm Randy Lovelace, and everyone be good. Love y'all. Bye-bye.